would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Real Estate Realities with the Rebel Broker. My name's Robert Whitelaw, and I am the Rebel Broker. Licensed real estate broker in the state of California, member of the National Association of Realtors. But please, don't hold that against me. Welcome to it, folks. At this point, some of you may be thinking, Robert, where the hell were you on Thursday and Friday? I'll tell you. I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. I went so you don't have to. That's not really why I went. But got some great stuff to talk to you about. Some things I saw personally that I'm not seeing discussed anywhere else. And I'll be honest, I kind of went for some of the more obscure, way over the horizon booths at CES. Seeing all of CES is darn near impossible. It is crazy in scope. A lot of people think that it just happens in the Las Vegas Convention Center. It does not. There's I can read off all the venues. There's Tech West, Tech South, the Sands, the Las Vegas Convention Center. I'm just looking at the entire list here. There's a huge, gigantic amount of effort that goes into this, with 2 to 3 relatively large areas that get covered by this thing. The Sands is where some of the sexy stuff was happening in terms of home stuff. Upstairs at the Sands was some of the more established stuff, the corporate stuff that maybe doesn't sound so revolutionary because we've seen iterations of it before. Downstairs was the Wild West at the Sands in terms of wearables, home stuff, that type of thing that are coming down the pike, but way down beyond what you're seeing at the top floor of the Sands. I guess you could call it a maturity issue, right? So a lot of the things that I was most dazzled by, and maybe it's just my personal bias, but I love the little struggling to get funding with a great idea vibe that was happening with a lot of the folks downstairs at the Sands. And at one extreme end was all of the clear imitating from China manufacturers, folks who had kind of gotten someone else's idea and were trying to run with it. A very weird vibe at that end of the show. Opposite end of the show was like folks from MIT and these really, really more academically based folks who'd come up with a good idea that were trying to run with something. And then in the middle, you had these folks who'd maybe gotten into their second or third round of funding, really aggressive, some cool, amazing stuff. If you're a motorcycle rider like I am, some freaking amazing stuff. Some of it not known, some of it that no one really knew about till today. Others, just a check-in with a product that you've maybe been tracking for a while, a thing called the Mohawk. That's a great helmet cam. Realize that has nothing to do with real estate, so we probably won't chat about that one. But there were tons of home-related things. And we can talk about what some of the main themes were. And I'm getting a little bit excited here. And I have had a cup of coffee today, so energy levels are likely to be A, high because I just got back from CES, and B, I have a full bloodstream full of caffeine. So buckle up. You never can tell where that will lead us. I was not able to see the entire show. I would love to say that I am a animal when it comes to this stuff, and I can get up early, get in there right when the gates go up at 10 and keep going until they kick me out. But I got to be honest, after the first day, major blisters on the left foot. I had hit the I'm done point at sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock on the first day and had to take a break, but also had to meet with some folks that night. So I am not the workhorse I once was as a younger man, but I did see just some amazing stuff. I also got a chance to go through the BMW tent at the convention center. I got a chance to see the new TV tech, which, and from a home standpoint, unbelievable. And one of the things we talk about here on this show, I'm not even ready to do the intro yet, and I'm already getting into the show, is stuff that, and particularly I'm in this mindset, absolutely, since I'm preparing my home for sale. I've always talked about you want to be that home that gets remembered for something amazing in your house. You don't want to be the one that's remembered because of that stink, that dog smell, the cigarette smell, the outdated carpet, the weird paint job, the wood paneling, whatever. You don't want a negative association with your home when someone's out there shopping. I tell you what, you have got such a list of things to choose from to make your house stand out so that when they walk out of there, they're going to say, the home that had that amazing shower, or the home that had that amazing automated kitchen setup, or whatever. There are things that have a wow factor to them where absolutely will they cost you more? Absolutely. But in a lot of markets, particularly mine, having something like this that maybe is going to cost me some extra money is going to shorten how long it takes me to get the home sold, and time equals money. Always make sure to calculate that, or try to understand it at least. It's often hard to calculate the time factor. But of course you can calculate it based on your holding costs, right? And also loss of opportunity, things that you're missing out on because you're still trying to get your home sold. And B, higher price. If someone gets super excited about an element in your home, they're likely to make an offer, and the more offers you get, the higher the likelihood you're going to get a bidding war. So, and I like, in my remodel, in my relatively limited remodel I'm doing on my home, I want to have one standout feature. And it's a fight, because in my master bedroom or master bathroom, I've got 3 different things I want to be my standout item. In my kitchen, I've now got a huge list of things I'm potentially looking at that will be my standout item, that I'll be willing to cough up an extra grand for, or an extra whatever for, in order for it, that it's going to be front and center. People will see it and they'll be dazzled by it. And it'll make people really want to have that as part of their home experience. So we're going to go through this stuff. I'm going to make no guarantees on how long it's going to take to get through today's show. I normally like to keep it between 20 and 40 minutes. Probably not going to happen. There is so much awesome stuff here to cover. I just don't think it's going to be possible. I don't know whether to start with the stuff I actually was hands-on with myself, or with some things that I've come across after doing a search after the fact to sort of see what was going on. I think what we'll do, and some of this stuff wouldn't relate there's going to be some things here that would clearly be just awesome stuff, things that I think anyone would want as part of their home. But not all of these are going to be things that really fit in with this idea of amplifying the value of your property to a buyer, because a lot of these things won't stay with the house, right? Appliances, or at least like your refrigerator, for instance. Lots of weird tech relating to refrigerators. And some of the big things out there where home automation was huge. Everybody is now trying to be Alexa compatible. We are now seeing, I think with this CES, as far as a home thing is concerned, I think this will be the first iteration of really being able to create a home automation situation where you talk to your house using things like Alexa. Now, for those of you who don't know, Alexa is the Amazon thing, right? You can get this little pod, and you can talk, and you say, Alexa, do this, do that, whatever. It's an intelligent personal assistant that came out from Amazon.com's Lab 126, and it kind of ended up being a touchstone for a lot of these automation companies that were out there trying to get things going. And CES really revealed that. It became very clear that what we're now moving into, instead of having this world where you're controlling a lot of different things from your smartphone, you're now simply going to be talking to your home. You're going to walk in the door and your house is going to greet you and say, hey, welcome home. It's going to turn on the lights that it knows you want on when you come home. It might even turn on some music. Depending on how smart your home is, it could start cooking your freaking dinner, or it may already have your dinner ready, or it may have sent you a text after you left work telling you that these are the things that you need, that it has detected are no longer in your refrigerator. There are so many different things going on that can affect, if you decide to invite this technology into your life, that can absolutely dramatically change you're change the way you live, change the way things happen for you on a daily basis. Now, before we jump into all the details, let me go through the usual opening show stuff. If you'd like to get in contact with me, the best way to do that is through the website at rebelbroker.com. I hope all of you loved the interview I did last Wednesday, or the one that got posted last Wednesday with Francis Greenberger. As you know, I let everyone know that I had 4 autographed copies of his book, Risk Game. Highly recommend the book. If you do not win, you should be getting an email, or you should, by the time you hear this, you should have already gotten an email letting you know that you won the book. There were 2 people who I randomly chose who did not include a mailing address. So please respond to the email. Let me know that you still want it, and that then provide me with your email address. Remember, this is a physical book. This is a hardbound autographed copy of Risk Game, kindly provided to me by Mr. Greenberger himself. And if you want it, I have to be able to mail it to you, unfortunately. So I will need your mailing address. If I don't hear back from those 2 folks who did not provide me with mailing addresses, and also bear in mind that the first few people who didn't provide a mailing address, I simply, as I got your messages, replied with, please provide me with your mailing address if you want to be included in the drawing. And then a little bit later, I decided I'd still include everybody, and then I would just chase people after I drew their name. So just because I asked you for your address doesn't necessarily mean you won. I apologize for that potential confusion. But anyway, you would have already received an email from me saying you won. So let me know, please, so that I can get that to you. And if not, if I don't hear back from you by, say, end of day Monday, and by end of day today, then I will go ahead and draw another person to get that book. And I'd love to thank all of you who jumped in and put your name in the hat to potentially win these books. I tried to do it. People ask me why I did it the way I did it, because I realize that there's this thing where folks don't necessarily like to add their names to the lists. You're not going to get put on any list by putting your name in to win these books. And I realize other shows might just use it as a tool to increase their mailing list. I didn't really want to do that. For those of you who are already on my mailing list through the Rebel Underground, you know I'm not a guy who abuses it. In fact, you'll probably notice you haven't received a single mail from me yet, a single message, because I'm holding off on doing a few things. But anyway, so it is now over. Don't be sending me any more emails to enter yourself into the drawing. For the folks who made it by the deadline, great. Thank you very much. I've got plenty, a good wellspring of names to choose from. So thank you for that. And if you do get a message from me letting you know that you have won and asking for your mailing address, please send that along so I can send that to you. And then I'll mail all those out sometime over the next week as soon as I can get myself over to the post office. All right, so in other news, there's 2 things I'm toying with change, or that I want to change about the show, and I'd love to get feedback from you. Now, one is the show logo. Aside from fonts and maybe some highlighting of the words, the screaming photo of me has been the logo for the show literally since the day I started it. And I think it's time for an upgrade. The tempo of the show has changed. The temperament of the show has changed. And I think it's time for a new and improved logo. I'd love to get suggestions from you. If you have anyone who is artistically minded in your family, I'd love to get feedback from them. For anyone who supplies me with a logo that I will end up using, I'm sure we can come up with something. I don't expect folks to do work for me for free. You provide quality. I expect to compensate you for that. But if you've got anybody who has a feeling for the show and a great idea for a logo, please feel free to send it along. And I will be happy to come to a reasonable agreement on how we compensate you for your effort. In addition, I would like to change up as I mentioned, I think a couple of shows back, I would like to change up the intro song. I like to do that once a year just to keep things at least vaguely fresh. And so if anyone's got any suggestions for a great movie quote or some little snippet that would make a great little bumper for the front of the show, feel free to send that along. I'd love to poll all of you for your suggestions. Now, of course, other than that, the usual stuff is still happening. If you could head on over to the website at rebelbroker.com, go to the top of the website, click on the big red button that says take the survey to support the show. Use the same email address both times you do and answer a handful of questions, and you will be in the drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. Now, also, I did do the drawing as I said I would on Saturday for that. I have sent an email to the winner of that, have not heard back from them yet. So again, I'll have to draw another person's name if that person doesn't respond by, say, end of business on Monday. But that drawing has happened. So thank you very much for participating. And that'll take us to a grand total of $200 that we have handed out to listeners. So congratulations to all of you. And we will be doing another one in February. So if you would head on over to rebelbroker.com, click that big red button at the top, use the same email address both times, you will get yourself in the drawing for February's $50 gift card to Amazon, and your help on the show. So it's a no-lose situation for everybody. And finally, if you'd like to join the Rebel Underground, simply text the word Rebel Broker to the number 44222. That's text the word Rebel Broker, all one word, to the number 44222. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm trying to decide if I should just do all the very real estate specific stuff first or not. I think what I'll do is, one of the things that blew me away early in terms of just revolutionary tech that really, I suppose you'd keep it in your house, so that kind of makes it real estate related. But there was a 3D metal parts printer from ability3d.com that I found to be a game changer. Now, all of you know that there are 3D printers out there that are doing plastics, a bunch of various different types. There's PVC plastics, there's other types of plastics. But this one will do a variety of different metals, and you don't have to have a specialized thing. You can literally pick up the spools for this from Home Depot, according to these folks. But it'll do stainless steel. 3D metal printing at home, holy grail of 3D printing. Plastic parts couldn't live up to the 3D printing hype. 3D metal printing will give consumers real parts that are strong, hard, durable, and heat resistant. These guys were demoing this for me, and I think they said that when it hits the marketplace, it was going to be about $3,000 or just under $3,000. They're not quite there yet, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they're also still. I think they're going to do a Kickstarter campaign in March of 2017. But this completely changes everything. For anybody who keeps track of technology and how things work and don't work, the idea of being able to prototype in something like stainless steel is just freaking amazing. You could literally simply make a product now at home. If you had a metal 3D printer, a plastic 3D printer, and anything else, an Arduino, a Raspberry Pi, you could literally make just about any product you want in your garage. Internals, plastic case, everything. So it's huge, but not real estate specific. But I wanted to bring it up first, just because, I think it's cool. Let me go on to something that I think is interesting technology that's starting to get a little bit more penetration and could absolutely be that standout item in your master bathroom or really any bathroom. It's from a company called Meraw. That's MERAW, and they are at meraw.co. And they are creating, I'm not sure why it's co, why not com? They're in California, but anyway, they had one up and running at their booth, and it's a digital mirror that you can put up in your bathroom that you can interact with using your smartphone. It has power outlets on it, but it has touch control. You can control the reflectivity of the surface. It can show you the weather. It can show you news, information displays of a variety of different things. Auto sensor, touch control, information display. There's an app that they specifically have, and it also has an auto defogger. But it's absolutely one of those things that would be a standout item in any bathroom. And here's what's amazing. According to the guy I talked to, what is his card? Who does it say he is? And he says he's the CEO. This thing's going to be under $1,000. And I'll tell you, I've looked at some stylish mirrors all by themselves that are just mirrors that cost close to $1,000. This is clearly a one station thing. So in other words, it's relatively narrow. It's about the width of your typical sink or width of a single mirror. So it would absolutely be something that would go in front of one mirror or one sink. If you had a two sink situation, you'd need two of them. But I tell you, the amount of awesome, it's activated when you walk in front of it, and it'll show you all the cool stuff. It would absolutely be something that would dazzle anybody who was looking through a bathroom. Can you imagine what that conversation would be walking out of that house? Did you see that mirror? Or it wouldn't even be in the car. It would be in the house. One partner or one person who's shopping would yell to the other one, "You've got to see this mirror." That kind of technology really stands out. And the great thing for me is I've talked about technology enhanced mirrors before, but it's always been thousands and thousands of dollars, not sub 1,000. And the idea of being able to integrate this technology into your build at a price that I think makes it very doable, regardless of your situation, I think is fantastic. It's definitely making it something that could be potentially much more attractive for folks who want to have that something special in their remodel or in their flip, but they don't want to go into some weird experimental technology or some high-end technology that right now is tending to cost in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $4,000 a pop. So that was number one. Let's take that off the stack. Next is another technology that is coming down in price. I think this one is awesome. It's called Flip Flick by Jalousier Inc. USA. The website is FlipFlick. FlipFlic.com. And here's what is awesome. Now, I don't know about you, but I, in the recent past, have priced getting electronic shades for some windows in my home. Now, I have a couple of windows that are gigantic, and I love the idea of being able to flip a button or have a remote or a web app or whatever that will, at the push of a button, lower them, all that kind of wonderful stuff, so that I don't have to worry about it. Well, these guys have come up with a technology that allows you to retrofit existing shades. So you're familiar with the ones where at one end there's a little thing and you rotate it and it changes the angle of the shutters, opening and closing them. On the other end is a goofy little cord that honestly tends to be a choking hazard in homes with children. It basically replaces all of the stuff at the top, or at least where the cord comes out at one end and where the rotating thing is at the other end. Those things disappear, and you snap on their gizmo, and suddenly you have a wireless way to electronically raise and lower these shades and adjust the angle on them. They demonstrated it for me there. It is absolutely amazing. It is fantastic. It's very easy to install according to it looked very easy to install. She literally popped it off and popped it back on while we were there. You can have automatic control, so you can have this be something that's controlled. It also allows for smart home integration. So this is something that will communicate with your smart home setup. FlipFlick integrates with BLE and Zigbee hubs, adding blinds to your smart home scenes. And if I'm not mistaken, Alexa will actually talk with one of those two. And the person who was there said that that you will be able to have this integrate with Alexa. So imagine coming home and being able to tell Alexa to open the windows or raise the shades or have her automatically do it when it knows that you're in that room. Pretty amazing. You can also have automatic controls that occur at different times of the house on a schedule, or when it detects different temperatures, those types of things. It will support 2 blind types. FlipFlick comes in 2 versions to fit both horizontal and vertical blind types. And here's the awesome part. The part that I think sets these guys apart. One question I had when I asked was, do I need to hook this up to house current? Or do I have to change batteries? And that becomes a huge pain in the butt because these windows I'm particularly dealing with are not easy to get at to the top. If you wanted to get to the top of these windows, you'd have to have like a 30-foot ladder, and it would be annoying. They're solar powered. Is that just the smartest thing ever? You install this thing, and then a solar panel goes along behind the blind against the glass. And this thing stays powered by solar energy. It's got batteries built into it so that when you're doing this at night, it still remains powered, but it's drawing power and charging off of these solar panels. And I believe the price for these things was something in the $60 to $70 price range per shade. And for those of you who have priced this stuff, you know that is amazing. The price difference between a regular manual shade and a electronic shade you could buy today, the best electronic shade you could buy today, is hundreds and hundreds of dollars in increased cost per shade. So this is a ridiculously awesome solution that I think you could integrate into any house, and it makes the process of controlling your shades that much easier. It turns it into something you can automate, into something you can do with the push of a button, whether it's on your smartphone or a remote relating to a home automation system. So that was one of the other ones I personally saw that sounded fantastic. And I think I think this is a product that's actually going to be pretty impressive. It wouldn't surprise me if these guys get bought by someone at some point down the road. Okay. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break right now, but we'll be right back with more hands-on insights from the Consumer Electronics Show of 2017. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to jump in and start your search for your first investment property? Maybe you've decided that it's time to own your own home, or maybe you're ready to sell your home and move on to something new. No matter what your goal is, the Rebel Broker can help. That's right, aside from hosting this show, I am also the owner-broker of Whitelaw & Sons Real Estate Services right here in Silicon Valley. With over 25 years experience serving Silicon Valley, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy, I or one of my great agents can help you achieve your goals in real estate. So if you're ready to look into taking that next step towards achieving your real estate goals, point your browser at www.soldbyrobert.com. That's www.soldbyrobert.com and get in touch. Let me show you how I will earn your business and your respect. Again, that's www.soldbyrobert.com, or you can call me at 408-852-0525. California Bureau of Real Estate ID 00984-909.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking Consumer Electronics Show 2017 today. I was lucky enough to go. I was able to go check out some stuff. And as I said, one of the big items out there that came along, as far as big themes, one was sort of automation integration with Alexa. A lot of, whether you were talking about the LG, or was it LG or was it Samsung? Everybody was integrating their refrigerators and everything else with home automation, all this other kind of wonderful stuff. One of the other things was drones. Drones really are taking off in terms of the number of options you have, the ease of use, and also integration into a lot of different things going on in your home. One of them is security drones. Now, this may sound a little bit odd, but there are now drones, and this is actually technology that's available now. I talked to some people on the show floor who actually say they've got this technology going. I don't know if they mean it as a prototype or what, but Alarm.com and Qualcomm have a in-home security drone that sounds kind of interesting, but this is more of a technology to talk about in general than a place to go buy it. What's interesting is there are different security systems that are now incorporating a drone that will dispatch a drone when there is a security alarm set in some part of the home. And so if it's outside of your house, the drone will take off. It'll fly to where the alert is. It'll use light intensifying technology, infrared, to detect who's there, to take video of what's going on. One cool thing that makes this special is A, because it's cool, but also B, this thing operates independently on its own power supply. So let's pretend, and this is a corner case, right? Anyone who thinks that burglars actually circumvent your alarm system before they try to get into your house, they just try to beat the clock. They try to beat the cop response time. But if somehow someone broke into your home and at some point they found the stuff that is the guts of your alarm system and were to take away like the hardware that records the video, that type of stuff, there is still a drone flying around that's been recording them that is independent, and I'm imagining is going to be flying in a way that prevents it from being grabbed. So this is interesting stuff. It allows for perimeter security of your property, to have it patrolled by a drone, and a drone that responds to alerts that occur on your property or in it. So that was something that was absolutely interesting. And they're also, what's interesting is a lot of companies like ADS are integrating with this sort of technology. So this is stuff that's going to come, I think, very, very soon. Next on our hit list is an interesting take on something that I think all of us care about, particularly if we're someone who has a vacation rental property or even a property that we rent long term, and that is minimizing loss due to property damage through something like a flood. The Fibaro flood sensor is a HomeKit compatible flood sensor, and it detects leaks so that you can react to them much more quickly. So it basically looks like a little white hockey puck. And you drop this thing into various places within your home where water should never get. And if it detects moisture, it alerts you. It's currently available. You can go to Amazon right now to buy it for $60. It's absolutely worth taking a look at. That's the Fibaro flood sensor, Fibaro flood sensor. And I think these are things that people will often spend thousands of dollars for. Oftentimes, folks will go ahead and install leak detectors, for instance, in their primary incoming water pipe so that you can get an alert from that and prevent potential water damage that way. I'm not sure this replaces that. Frankly, I would be a lot happier with a system that detects it and automatically shuts off the water when it detects an extensive leak itself, or allows me the ability to turn off the water remotely if I detect a problem. This does not do that. This simply would alert you. But if you're looking for something that's a low-end, low-cost replacement for that sort of service, this would be something that would work out great for you. More in terms of smart home products. The Ford folks have been busy with their Sync 3 system. I have been someone who's been a user of the Sync system in the past. I've used the Sync 1. I've used the Sync 2. And I'll tell you what, they could use a little bit more quality assurance testing in some of their stuff in terms of just the day-to-day weird syncing things that happen. Having said that, on their new Sync 3 platform, they've integrated with Alexa, yet another company that's decided to integrate with Alexa, that will now let you speak to your Ford automobile while you're driving, and it will let you control your home automation devices, your smart home devices. And you can also shop for things through Amazon by now speaking to this system. So it's yet another move towards integrating these disparate systems so that you're going to get a more overarching way to control your stuff. Whether you're someone who adopted home automation very early or very late, this idea that everyone's sort of rushing towards Alexa or other technologies you speak to automate your stuff is really kind of cool, and brings us the technology that lets us automate our homes in a way that we've really only seen in Iron Man. So it's kind of cool to see this stuff becoming a reality. Now, one other cool thing that was sort of made a big presence at CES was robotic companions, I guess you'd call them. I don't know if you want to call it that, but one example is Kuri from Mayfield Robotics. According to them, it's a cute domestic robot designed to roam around the home and keep tabs on things when you're out. So it's really sort of a cute version of basically a mobile security system for your home. The video they showed it keeping the dog off the couch or sending you video images of the dog being on the couch and you being able to take actions to minimize that. But I really only share this because it's the tip of the iceberg. There are so many different technologies that are doing this type of thing, that are really introducing the home to a robotic assistant of some kind. And what's great is we're not seeing this coming in at thousands of dollars. This particular product, the Kuri, has a suggested retail price of $699. You can bet that after it's been out for a little while, it will be cheaper than that. And there were others at the show that didn't have a price, but they were all aware of the kind of price point that's being established by products like this. So expect that to sort of be where things come in at. And that makes it something that's at least in some ways approachable so that you can get mainstream folks taking advantage of some of these robotic technologies in their home. One other product that I saw, just to mention it, I don't even think I kept any of their material, but there was a laundry folding machine. You just dumped your laundry into this bin, and this thing would fold all of your laundry and spit it out. I saw several robots that that had arms designed to do what human arms do, and it could do clean up things around the house. You could have this robot pick up your clothes off the floor and drop it into the laundry bin. In fact, you could even have 3 different laundry bins, one for whites, one for coloreds, and one for darks, and have it sort your clothes based on that criteria. these are all technologies that are coming along great. That particular robot, I think they were saying that they were ballparking the price at $1,200. But again, this is something that really links itself to what I've talked about before relating to general automation. Improvements in automation, particularly if you were to buy a robot that already had arms, already had optical ability, already had the ability to discern between colors and other types of things, and between people and not even people, but just had the ability to get input and then do things in the world using their arms. Improvements in that technology will simply be a software upgrade. Now, there obviously will be hardware changes, but the core idea of what it can do will just be enhanced over and over as software is designed to take more and more advantage of whatever hardware is built onto it. So this is one of those things where I think that we're at the infancy of this, but there's so much potential here in terms of what you're going to see robots being able to do in your home from the standpoint of keeping the place clean, cooking, sorting, just all these various things that you may deal with when you can. And now while you're at work, you could have one of these robotic assistants taking care of this stuff for you all the time. And in my feeble attempt to make it relate to real estate, imagine how easy it will be to keep your home in for sale ready condition. So there you go. I'm trying. At least I'm trying. Another interesting move forward that I think is something I'm personally going to invest in earlier rather than later is home brewing. Now, there were a variety of different machines out there that are designed to help you brew your own stuff. There are some that are very controlling in terms of them requiring that you only use materials they provide. Then there were others that were less so. The Pico Brew Freestyle, for instance, was one that was interesting, but again, required you to buy their stuff. In my experience, I came across two other. I'm going to share one other solution. The other solution I found only did ciders. But the iGulu Smart Home Brewing System lets you use pretty much whatever you want, and it'll do beer, it'll do wine, it'll do ciders, let's see, craft beer, all kinds of different stuff. So it's an interesting solution. It's at igulu.com, igulu.com. Yeah, I liked that one. It had a great interface. It looked pretty. And it looked like something that I think would make a great addition for anybody who's into that kind of stuff. One other thing I wanted to make note of is how this artificial intelligence mantra is getting created in so many different ways. One is the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. Now, I bring this one up. Again, something that you'd probably bring with you if you left your home, but what a great way to potentially make life more peaceful if you're sharing the home with a significant other. We all have probably heard about the Sleep Number system in terms of adjusting the hardness of your mattress, but now they're adding an AI portion to it that is smart enough to automatically raise and lower itself to reduce snoring while you sleep. In the same way, the bed will make adjustments depending on body position, plus how often you toss and turn through the night. So it's another one of these technologies that will adapt to what you're doing as a sleeper that is supposed to enhance your sleep, make your sleep deeper, and make it more satisfying and more rejuvenating. So always a good thing. No idea what the price is going to be, but this is something that's supposed to be coming out over the course of the next year. So another item that brings us back to things that are really just enhancements on your home are Velux active windows. They're kind of interesting in the smart home market. Now, granted, these are ones that are probably going to cost you more. They're not sort of the retrofit thing, but Netatmo, and Velux have partnered to combine sensors and allow for automated opening of windows in your home that will be doing this based on weather conditions and the quality of air inside the house. So it's not something that's going to be opening and closing valences or anything, but it is going to be adapting based on what's going on in your house, what the temperature's like, what the air quality is like. So kind of an interesting take, and absolutely something that could be considered a huge improvement on your home that might just draw in more attention from buyers. Now, one other thing that would definitely sort of straddle the line between things that would make your home more attractive and things that you're probably more than likely going to take with you when you move is the new LG W7 television. Now, televisions were big, whether we were talking about Samsung and QLEDs or the existing OLEDs. And for those of you who keep track of any of this stuff at all, you know there's been a lot of, frankly, goofy things going on, whether it's a 4K TV or an 8K TV or HDD or HDDDD, a lot of different buzzwords getting thrown around. When the reality is that the quality of the displays that we're getting these days is pretty amazing. But still at the top of that heap is OLEDs. They are considered amazing. They are amazing. I remember when the very first OLED screen was revealed at CES. Of course, I wasn't there for that one, but it was a tiny little, I think it was 8 by something display, and it was $10,000. Well, here we are today with LG coming out with the W series of displays, and they are amazing. The W stands for wallpaper. These things are so thin and so light that they are held onto the wall, at least partially, simply by magnets. You will not have to find studs to hang these things. These things are lighter than most paintings that are framed that you will hang on your wall. They are so ridiculously thin. They are thinner than a piece of cardboard. And once they're on your wall, they look like they are part of the wall. They're very amazing. I'm absolutely going to include a link to that one and in the show notes for today's show because it is pretty amazing. However, it does have gears and electronics. Well, gears, what am I talking about? What is this, the 1862? It does have the electronics, the things to control it that are external to it. In fact, the displays now have gotten so small that they can't even, if they want to keep them thin, they have to externalize all the stuff that makes it work. So there's a ribbon cable that connects it to a sound bar. So they've integrated a sound bar into what runs the television, and that sits somewhere else. You could hide it, I suppose, but since it's the speakers, you'll probably want it exposed in some way. Maybe you create a custom shelf down below it somewhere. But the point here is the picture is freaking amazing. My understanding is that this particular TV is slated to cost, let's see. According to the information I'm seeing here, it's available for pre-order for $8,000. And of course, just like everything else, that price will drop. This is absolutely one piece of technology I plan on making part of my household. I'm not going to buy it at $8,000. But when it starts to come down, you can absolutely bet you will see one hanging on my wall. Now, it comes in two sizes, I believe 65 and 77 inch. So we're talking pretty large areas here. But also imagine how much floor space this frees up in terms of just really bringing everything closer into the wall, giving up a couple of feet so that you just get more elbow room in a space. What's amazing is I think that this technology is just going to get more and more interesting to the point where your television is potentially integrated into what's in your room. So whether it now becomes part of a cabinet and when you and it's part of the doors, or it's simply a thing on the wall that you cannot see until you turn it on, it's pretty amazing stuff. So that was really the big TV thing that came out of CES, and I managed to see that one hands-on. Stunning picture. You just can't ask for anything better. Another item that's intended to help with the atmosphere inside of your home is the Air Mega Smart Air Purifier. It has built-in sensors that make sure you know just what's happening in terms of the air quality inside of your home. It tracks the different levels in houses and shows how data has changed over time. And when the purifier needs to be cleaned, so you always get an alert. It's not something you have to set up in your calendar every 3 months to clean the filters or do whatever it is you need to do. The Air Mega uses built-in sensors and sends notifications directly to your smartphone. It was launched last year at CES. The product is back this year with a new announcement. As is everybody else, it can integrate with Amazon's Alexa voice assistant, meaning that users can turn their air purifier on or increase its speed by just telling Alexa to do it. Now, here's a piece of tech that I'm interested in because I kind of like the idea of making our doorbells smarter. I know that sounds a little bit odd. I know on previous shows I've talked about a product called Pilot, which I think is very cool. I actually saw Pilot at the show. I didn't see anything particularly new happening with Pilot, but they were there. There's a new product called Smart Doorbell from Phenotech, and that's a French startup. But the Smart Doorbell can recognize familiar faces, so it has face recognition with real-time app notification. So it doesn't wait for someone to ring the doorbell, it will actually, when it sees someone walking up to it, it will send you an alert on your smartphone. You can be anywhere in the world as long as you're on the internet, it will alert you. The device will also detect strangers. If someone is walking up to the door it does not recognize, it'll notify you through the companion iOS or Android app. It has 24/7 video monitoring as well as in-app door control and alarm triggers. And what's great, you can pre-order this thing for $299. Now that is cheaper than other products I've talked about on the show that do less. In terms of attractiveness, the unit I saw, in my opinion, is ugly as sin. It's this bizarre, bulgy, inverted teardrop looking thing, which I'm sure in some circles looks fantastic. Maybe it's just me. I didn't think it was that pretty, so I might look for a style change on that one. But the functionality is fantastic, particularly since most other products wait for someone to push a button to ring that bell before anything happens. I love the idea that you get alerted as soon as it detects someone walking up to the door. I think that's far more helpful, particularly if you might need to fumble with your phone. If someone rings the bell and is waiting for a while for you to respond, you're already ready to have a formulated response before anyone even pushes that button. So I think that's kind of a cool one that might be worth you checking out. And again, what better way to dazzle someone who's coming to look at your home than having this as the thing that greets them when they come to your front door? It's absolutely something folks are going to remember. Now, for those of you who are thinking about upgrading a bathroom, I have got a dazzler for you. This is from Moen. Moen has in the past really made some interesting upgrades to their stuff. Moen is an Ohio-based company, and they've introduced the first app-based digital shower system called U. It's an app-based controller that's installed in the shower to personalize showers. It allows users to create preset settings for water temperature, so the shower can automatically warm up to the ideal temperature, and allows multiple users to program their own specific settings. It's going to be shipping in March for a starting price of $1,160. Now, before you balk at that, anybody who's done a bathroom remodel, particularly a master bathroom, knows that those are the areas where if you're going to do something that's taken up a notch, that's where you do it. So let me suggest that for my money, if I were to, and this is, what's interesting is the photo I'm seeing online for this actually doesn't even show the dazzle. They've not only got the usual control for that stuff, and there's a control unit right there in the shower. There's also body jets, other kinds of very cool stuff that are part of this system that you can integrate. And that's the kind of stuff that really gets people excited about your property when they see something that is where it's obvious the benefit they get, i.e., a more comfortable shower. And it's not subtle. It's not something that's there as a feature, but you'd have to have it explained. And as you may know, when folks are looking through your house, there's not someone standing right there in your bathroom when they walk in to explain all the cool stuff. So not only do you have to have something that has some dazzle to it, but it needs to be obvious. It needs to be something that kind of jumps out at them. This kind of stuff does. When I show people a house, when there is something amazing like body jets, they notice that. And they go, oh, wow, this thing has body jets. They don't notice when one has a steam option, for instance. So let's say you're in this and you're thinking about doing one of these things in terms of really increasing the attractiveness of your setup, and you've got a choice between the steam option or the body jet option. Go with the body jet option. Go with the one that folks are going to notice first. No one's going to know that you've got that steam option until they read about it in your listing. You need stuff that's going to impact them right when they're in the property looking at it. Now, continue to look a little bit into the kitchen in terms of advances there. Whirlpool Zera Food Recycler. The Food Recycler by W Labs. It's a solution to help reduce food waste in landfills. It's built to convert household food waste into homemade fertilizer. It can handle a week's worth of discarded food for an average family, based on an estimated 3.5 kilogram weekly household food waste for an average U.S. family. The Panasonic, that was just a side one that looked kind of cool. If you're into that kind of stuff, more power to you. This should help with that. Panasonic countertop induction oven. Revolutionary countertop induction oven from Panasonic uniquely combines induction and dual infrared heating technologies for delicious food in minutes. Cook one-pan meals, grill, broil, bake, reheat, and more. My understanding is there's also installable versions of this one.
Now, one item that I didn't see and actually went looking for was the technology I talked to you a couple of months back. The robot cook that you would install into your kitchen that had robotic hands, used the same things you use to cook, and could download thousands of recipes to cook really whatever you want conventionally, the way you would cook it. And in fact, could download more recipes as the database increases. I really wanted to see this stuff, and it's made by a company called Molly Robotics. I'll include a link to their website. But I absolutely think this is one of those things that's going to be a dazzler. If I'm not mistaken, when we first talked about this, the idea was that this would cost something in the range of $16,000, which may sound like a lot, but if this thing does what it claims to do, that's an awful lot of convenience. And I can see an awful lot of folks loving that kind of thing in their home. Now, and since the last time I visited their website and checked out what they were up to, they added that they're going to be planning for fourth quarter of 2017 for technology development and market preparation. So they're not going to make the date that they were talking about earlier in 2016 about being able to ship in the second quarter of 2017. They were supposedly shooting for summer of this year. It's sounding like they're going to be about a year off. If they're looking for technology development and market preparation in the fourth quarter of 2017, that probably spells a shipping date somewhere in the first half of 2018. So the technology is still being worked on out there. One I was hoping to see at CES. The only CES they've ever actually shown this at is CES Asia. So it may not be something they were going to show at ours anyway, but I was hot to see it, and I was sad when I did not see them on the exhibitor list. Now, also in terms of different home things that we might see coming down the pike is improvements in induction. Now, for those of you who maybe haven't heard of induction, there's basically three ways for you to cook your food on a cooktop. One is using an electric cooktop where you just have an element that heats up and then heats your pan and then cooks your food. The other is gas, where you turn on the gas, it ignites the gas, you see the flame, and you can tell how hot things are by adjusting the intensity of the flame. Well, then there's induction, which doesn't generate heat in anything but the pan. So if you have an induction cooktop, it is interacting with the metal in your pot or pan, making it hot, cooking things, and then literally the cooktop is cool to the touch. You don't need to worry about burning yourself. There's no open flame. There's no hot element to get hot. The only thing that's hot is the thing that's doing the cooking. It's far more efficient, but it has also tended to be more expensive, and it's also been resisted. I've been looking at how induction has been doing for quite a few years, and things have remained relatively steady at about 16% of all cooktop sales and less than 1% of range sales. And that's according to the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. One thing that might change over the next year is a couple of things. One, they recognize that one reason why induction isn't doing as well is because there's no visual cue in terms of how intense of a amount of heat they're putting out. People like gas because they can look at the flame. So they're trying to figure out that one. And the other is also the price, which induction tends to be more expensive. But they are working on these issues so that the prices for these drop down. So right now, as an investor, does it make sense for you? For instance, I'm reevaluating my kitchen. I'm going to change up my kitchen. In terms of desirability, induction is down there with below electric cooktops. So I'm probably going to go ahead and go with gas because I want to attract the largest number of folks. But in terms of the next home that I choose to live in myself, I would absolutely consider induction. It's a great technology, but not something that I think would be effective in a home that you're trying to get sold. It's the desirability level there just isn't there unless they make these changes in terms of being able to easily see what kind of intensity that you have the thing set at when you are doing your cooking. Now, at this point, we get down to some things that are far more obscure. I haven't seen them mentioned in anything relating to different articles about what was going on at CES, but that I thought were kind of interesting and potentially could increase the desirability of your property. We'll see. For those of you who've been longtime listeners to the show, you know that we covered the creation of the Tesla Powerwall and how it was absolutely very popular with a lot of folks. It was a way to store up energy so that if the power went out, you would have power to your home. It was a rather pricey option. Now, there's another company called Amped,
AMPD Energy, and they have their amped silo, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. It's a state-of-the-art, ultra-safe, reliable, and self-maintaining energy storage backup system, according to their promotional material. Definitely something worth checking out. It's an uninterruptible power supply, backup power with zero maintenance, environmentally friendly, and it will also store energy from a solar setup, but it lets you do it from anything. So if you are connected to the grid, it will store up power. If you're connected to solar, it'll store up the power. But it looked like a great solution. I had a really quick demo of it, and it's hard to demo, stored energy, but it was another option out there that would be something that you could consider in terms of enhancing the power to your home. Now, and this is something that concerns me simply because if I'm looking at having an investment property and I want to be on top of power issues, right? Like, for instance, the home I live in now, when the power goes out, there are certain things you don't want to be going on in the home that relate to managing some of the sewage and other types of things because there's pumps involved. Well, if I were to convert this home into something I wanted to comfortably rent, I'd need to come up with a solution that makes sure that when the power goes out, if my tenants continue to do what people do naturally with bathrooms, that this would not create a problem. So backup power supplies like this are good. And I think there's a lot of different markets where having something like this, being able to put that green energy sticker on your property, if you're doing a flip or if you're just improving your own home and hoping to improve the price you might get for it later on, things like this are absolutely desirable, and a lot of folks are looking for them in their next purchase. Another thing I came across was a thing called Fireside Audio Box. Now, this would be a great little addition to a home, maybe a condo where there is no fireplace. And what it does, I wish I could show you a picture. Maybe I'll put a picture of it on the show notes so you can see what I'm talking about. I thought it was cool for maybe a small condo where there is no fireplace, but what it does is it Bluetooth connects to your phone or whatever other device you have playing music, and the fire will dance to the music, which I thought was kind of cool. I wasn't able to get a demo because they weren't allowing open flames on the floor of CES at the Sands, but I was able to see some video of it. And it's a great looking little box. I think it's a fantastic addition. Doesn't have to be permanent. It runs on propane tanks. It's not something you connect to the natural gas of the house. But it would be absolutely something that I think would add a very attractive element to a home that you're showing that happens to be a condo with no fireplace. Just something that kind of I came across that was kind of neat. Another thing I saw is Natufia, Natufia, and it is a way of growing stuff in your kitchen. It's a little bit odd in that a lot of these things are designed to be put to the side, something to be sort of out of sight and out of mind, and then things just sort of grow. This is more like an appliance. This is something that you would install in your kitchen, and it has all the things that you need to successfully grow different things in it. Now, the goal of this thing is to be a completely automated kitchen garden. So you live in a townhome, you live in a condo, and you don't have a garden. You have a balcony maybe, but you want to have that garden. This thing allows you to grow all sorts of different stuff. It's relatively tall. It's at least as tall as a refrigerator, but it's completely automated. Everything that's needed for growing the various things you have in it. It's got an electronic interface so that you can interact with it and tell it what you want to grow, whether it's sweet basil, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever. But it's absolutely designed to be installed. And I think this is something that in some marketplaces would be super attractive. Now, I'm going to include a link to this company. And just so everyone knows, I'm not going to make any money off of any of this. These are simply things I came across that I thought looked awesome. And I'm calling out a few of these that I like just because I like them. And I'm calling out a few because I think they could honestly add value to your home in a way that increases the price you get and shortens the length of time it takes you to get these homes sold. And this was absolutely one of them. It wouldn't work everywhere, and it's not even going to work in every home. I don't think this is something that's going to work in an average priced home. I think this is something that would be in a higher end market. Something I've considered myself. But if I'm not mistaken, they're not actually shipping yet, so it may not be something I can include in my home. But it's great, and it's also attractive, so definitely something to consider. Now, finally, I wanted to finish off with one more item I came across that did get a little bit of press, but I think it really addresses issues that we've talked about here on this show relating to home automation.
I love the convenience of home automation. I think there are some amazing things that can make your life easier, funner, more manageable through the use of this technology. But I'm always concerned about privacy issues relating to these things. And I came across something called Bitdefender. It's secure. It's designed specifically to secure your home automated enabled devices. It's a way for a smart house to be just a little bit more secure with the Bitdefender box. It's a second generation device that's meant to protect a house filled with Internet of Things devices. And that's going to include just about everything you buy today. There were some of the things I didn't cover were washers, dryers, refrigerators, all kinds. Every appliance now is an internet device. And while those can present some very interesting opportunities in terms of making your life easier, having malware installed onto some of these devices can ruin your life and make things far more difficult. So I wanted to wrap things up with this device that will hopefully protect you, or at least give you a higher level of confidence that you're going to be protected against bad folks who want to do icky things with your devices on your home. All right, folks. I hope that you have had a couple of interesting things, at least out of the large selection of items that we've covered in today's show. As I mentioned, most of these I saw myself. I'm not really discussing any of the things that didn't grab me in one way or another. It was an exceptional experience. Going to CES has always been on my bucket list. I would love to go again next year. Knowing what I know now, I would actually probably start a workout program a few weeks beforehand to get myself physically prepared for the demands of running from different venues to check out different things. But it was a great experience. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it. And I'm even happier that I got the opportunity to share my observations and what I saw with all of you. So happy you were willing to spend your valuable time with me. I hope that this has been some great information for you to move forward, or maybe even integrate some new ideas into what you might be doing with your new investment property right around the corner. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll talk to y'all next time.